And we're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
I'm Treacherous, Trista.
And we're joined by filmmaker Christian Ackerman. It's very cool to have you here. Could be
Hello,
killer.
hello. What's up? What's up?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this. It's very
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah. So, first of all, I actually read that you started on The Tonight Show. So I'm wondering how you went from The Tonight Show to making horror movies.
Well, the horror movies was the main goal, but my sister worked at the Tonight Show when I first moved to LA, and so when I started getting into when I started school, I was able to go over and do like 1 day a week working there with them, and then I just stayed on for many years and through college and all that stuff. So yeah, like my first real job.
Yeah. What is it about horror movies or horror in general?
I think it's the anything goes factor, and I think it's just fun. I think when I was a little kid, I had a humorous dark side, and as soon as I saw like a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, and I got over that fear of watching my first Freddy movie, I thought, I was like, holy shit, this is funny, and it's like my sense of humor, and so I totally connected to the Freddy Krueger character, as many of us did when we were kids.
Yeah, it is, I think, unusual when the villain in those movies are ones that you actually don't want to see. You actually want them to be beaten.
Yeah, exactly. They're the fun ones.
Yeah, there's a few of them. Trying to think, what is a villain that like you actually root against? I think like in Dirty Harry, it's not a horror movie, but King Joffrey, and I'm sure there's some of them.
Yeah.
So, there's very exciting news though. Night of the Bastard is going to be premiering at Sitges.
Yes, it is Night of the Bastard.
So explain to us what Night of the Bastard is.
It is kind of a brutal, hardcore horror film about a guy who lives in the desert all alone, and he has a huge property and chases off these kids that are camping on his property, and those kids run into a cult who are doing a ceremony out in the woods or in the middle of the desert, and shit goes bad from there, and then one of the kids heads to that guy's house and doesn't know that that's his house, knocks on the door, she's dying, and then he reluctantly takes her in, and then they have to battle the cult from inside the house.
So how did you get involved in A Night of the Bastard?
My writing partner and I know this great drummer called London May, and he was looking for somebody to write a script for him and his partner Eric, and so we kind of won the job and started writing it in 2020. Yeah, 2020, and then COVID kind of hit, and that screwed everything up, and we ended up shooting it last year in August.
Does that happen that way often when someone has an idea and comes to you to write the script, as opposed to you think of an idea and writing the script?
This is probably the first time that I've written something for somebody else, I think, that was specific and as a feature. Well, I don't know. No, I have written another feature that I was rewriting. I didn't write the original, but then I rewrote the entire script while we were filming and giving people new pages every day. And that was a pretty wild ride.
See, that has to be a difficult situation, I think.
Yeah, but it was really fun. I mean, it was like a zero budget movie, and we had we had 10 characters, so I knew that. We had kind of a setup, and this movie's called A Deadly Reunion. It's kind of a really super low budget kind of cheesy movie. You could watch it on Amazon, but we had a lot of fun with it, making it a lot different than what the original script was.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So your writing partner, you mentioned Chuck Foster.
Yes.
Like how did you guys get together to start writing together? And like you had chemistry right away, or how does that work?
No, we hated each other. This was back in college. So he was this asshole punk rock kid, and he was in high school when I met him, and I was a kind of a knucklehead on the other end of the spectrum, And then a friend of ours said, hey, Chuck likes horror movies. And I was like, I didn't have any friends in LA that liked horror movies yet, when I first moved here, like my first couple of years. And so I went up to Chuck and I'm like, hey, you like horror movies? And he's like, yep. I said, and we haven't left each other since. It's been about 25 years. Even though he's in New York. He's been in New York for 20 years, but we
that's interesting that you guys still write together across the country.
Yeah, we do. We do.
So that kind of came up during COVID. People started to do that, but you guys were doing that pre-COVID.
Yeah, we have been. We kind of made a pact many years ago to kind of stick together, at least with our band. So he does stuff separately, but yeah, we had a band together. We kind of still we'll never break up, even if we hate each other.
Yeah. How about what's the name of the band?
It's called Pope Goat the Seventh.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Pope Goat the Seventh.
Pope Goat the Seventh. That was not what I was expecting. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but it wasn't Pope Goat the Seventh.
Yeah,
that's not something you forget easily.
No. Yeah, the Pope Goat. Pope Goat. It started in 1999. That one.
Where is there anything online, like videos or anything?
Yeah, there's I mean, we haven't recorded anything in a long time, but we have some of our music somewhere online. I don't know where, but it's kind of it's improv, punk, spirited, anything goes kind of music, and it's all completely all improv. Just press record and then just go. So we don't care if we make mistakes. We don't go back. The song is the song, and that's it.
I'm very interested. What's the history of the name Pope Goat the Seventh?
Well, the Pope Goat is a kind of a mythological creature, and it came to the land, the ridges of the North in 1999. Actually, it plucked us from medieval times and brought us to the ridges of the North Ridge in California, and dropped us here to comment on society and how terrible society is. And so we're basically the Pope Goat's his vision. We're his puppets.
I'm very interested, very intrigued. Yeah.
That's how Pope Goat came around.
Yeah. So Night of the Bastard, I mentioned it's going to be at Citrus. Have you ever been to Citrus before, either with something you've done or just been there?
No, I'm super excited. It's definitely like the biggest film festival of something that I've written. That's,
Are you going to be there in person?
I think so. Yeah, I mean the plan is to go, but we'll see how it works out, and if because trying to plan stuff 4 or 5 months in advance of the movies, or even next month, is kind of difficult. But that's the plan.
Have you been to other festivals before, with your films?
Yeah, I've been to many. It's been I love going to festivals, so like Film Quest and Scream Fest here in LA, and Horrible Imaginings started in San Diego. That one's really fun. Trista knows that one. She's been to a few with me. But I've played a lot.
What do you think the benefits are of festivals for people out there who never been to one or never submitted their films to one?
Well, the energy of a film festival is the exciting part. And if you are just an audience member, you get to see stuff that's brand new, something you wouldn't normally see, and brand new stuff. Even like a short film block might be really fun for you to go check out. As a filmmaker, it is, it's fun to see your film played live to an audience. That's the main thing. And then, just the energy of the festival is usually the great part about it. Like sitting in the lobby, just hanging out with people, or at the after party, that kind of thing. Just mingling.
Trista, do you have a question?
I do, yeah. I also want to mention that friend of the show, Julia Hackney, worked on Night of the Bastard as well. Yeah. So that's
very cool. Yeah, we were talking about it before we went live. All good things.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Christian. So you have a new short coming out called Vortex Predators. Tell us about that.
There is a group of filmmakers that was started with Buzz Wallach and his wife Mary. We basically get together every 2 months, and if we sign up for it, we have to make a short film in those 2 months. or we owe the group $100. And so it ends up being like about 3 hours worth of movies every 2 months. So, I mean, we've gotten tons of people involved. And so I made that back in February before that. But then stuff came up with the last movie I just did, and I got too busy, and so it did not get finished for that screenings. I owed the group $100, but I still have a movie, and so it's being edited now finally.
Oh, very cool.
But is that the question that you asked? But yeah, it's just a little exercise. I wanted to do something that I wanted to do a conversation with the tension, with like trying to find ways of heightening tension within a conversation. Kind of practice, a little practice.
Well, I was getting along those lines because I'm interested sometimes when people make shorts, like what's the goal with that? So you had a specific goal, like I'm going to try to experiment with this, maybe to use it in something else. Like what are the goals when you make a short film?
I mean, for me, just trying to, usually I would want to do something bigger with it. This last one kind of ended up being a tiny bit of a spin-off because I brought in an actor named Myra Rodriguez. And then I said, Myra, this character is already kind of like one of your characters in a short we did called Hell's Bells. Let's do that. Have you do that character. And so so I kind of, for this one though, it was just, I just wanted to practice a little bit and just get a short done because I've been producing so much that I don't direct very often.
How about you? Not Ample. Trista mentioned Julie Hapney, and you talked to beforehand that you worked with her a lot. So when was the first time you met her? And when you meet someone that you get along with and is also talented, is that how things start? This is someone you want to collaborate with.
Yeah, I don't know how many years ago it was, but she and I did a show in Vegas called VGR. It's a web series all about kind of the Nintendo Mario Brothers characters in real life, and it's like a reality show. And we on those kind of shows when it's a super low budget and you're far away, you become a family. And so everyone on that show is still all connected. We still all talk. Try to get together every once in a while. Like Dan Crawley, Trista knows him. He was on that show. And so a lot of us just met. A lot of people met on that show. People got married, So that's the fun part about doing movies far away is that you really become a family with them if you like them.
So assume there's a lot of effects in A Night of the Bastard since Julie is involved.
Yeah, Julie. I wrote it hoping that she would want to do it, and as soon as she read it, she was just like, "Oh my God, this is just the perfect play to showcase all of her talents." So it was exciting to see her do all of the effects that were in the movie because it gets kind of crazy.
Yeah, so I assume it's a gory movie. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's gory, and I do like the story a lot because putting those two characters together, it's this kind of this annoying college girl and this curmudgeon who lives in the in the middle of the desert and doesn't like people, just doesn't want to be around them, and they all have their backstories of why they are the way they are. So I like it a lot.
Andrew here in the chat room, Andrew's Horror Show, he says he loves the green jelly shirt, and
thank you.
He assumes you're a fan.
Yeah, I was telling Neal earlier, what's his name, Andrew? That and if you're in Hollywood, they have like what's his face, the guy who runs the main guy from Green Gel, I forget his name right now, but he has a kind of a storefront, and they throw parties there. I think like Saturday nights they have a webcam going, and it's just chaos and bands, and it's really fun. So if you're in Hollywood, check that out.
So how long have you been following Green Jelly?
I think so. Well, I'm not like a mega fan. I have a couple of the albums.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying you're a groupie, but
no, I bought this at the show when I kind of liked it. So, but I remember them from like the early 90s from their song Three Little Pigs, and that album, and their album Serial Killer. And so yeah, I've seen them maybe once or twice back in the day. And there's a lot of costume bands in LA, or at least there were, that were around in the 90s, like Joe and the Chicken Heads, and and Rosemary's Billy Goat, another good one. So yeah, and
I love that name.
Yeah.
Look these bands up after the show. Trista, you have another question?
Yes, I wanted to mention Fear the Night with Maggie Q. When does that come out?
When does this come out? I don't know. We just finished filming about a month, 5 weeks ago or something like that. So that is, it'll probably be out next year.
Andrew just mentions he saw Green Jelly in Providence and they were awesome.
Ah, cool.
Dave Bailey says hello, as does Robert McGrath.
Hello, everyone.
Robert wants to know how he can follow you on Instagram. Usually you ask it at the end, but if you want to throw out your Instagram.
Yeah, you can. It's Acronomicon on Instagram. Just search my name, Christian Ackerman.
I like the name Acronomicon too. I assume I was going to say the history there, but I think it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, that was given to me by the Pope Goat.
Oh, really?
Yes. No, actually, no, that was before. That's been my, I've had that moniker since I don't know, probably 98.
So the Summoners, I was a big fan of. For people who don't know, Trista is in the Summoners, and we played that at our festival, Severed Limbs, last year, I think. Was that the first time you met? Is that how you two met?
No, we met at a Screamfest mixer, so film festival. That's how we met. But it was, Screamfest when COVID wasn't around. They would Rachel, who runs that festival, always threw like a monthly party at a bar just to kind of connect the filmmakers, and that's where we met.
Is that the first time you worked together?
What's that?
Was that the first you worked together? No.
Yeah. That's as soon. So once I did know her, then I wanted to figure out a way to work with her, and so that was it.
I think Trista's disagreeing.
Actually, no, Hell's Bells. Yeah, sorry, I thought you mentioned Hell's Bells. But yeah, Hell's Bells was our first one together.
Well, like Julie, I suppose you like working with Trista.
Yeah, of course. Anytime I can. And I think what was the last thing we did, Trista? Was it Joe Bob's Haunted Drive-In? You had a little cameo in that. Yeah, she played a zombie for me. Did a favor on that one. She always kills it, literally and actor-y. Yeah. My conversation skills have been lacking lately. I've been in the middle of a build outside in my since we just moved, there's a little studio in the back, so I've been soundproofing it, and I have not been social that much. So
you're much like the guy in Night of the Bastard living up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, soon enough I will have a little soundproof studio, and I'll be able to make all the damn noise I want.
Well, that's a good goal to have.
Yes.
Yeah. So how about the experience of doing the Joe Bob's Haunted Drive-In? Was that a good time?
Well,
or no, I don't know.
It was exciting to finally be done, but it was the worst thing I've ever done. I never wanted. I wouldn't say I never want to do something like that again, but it was a small team that we had. So it was me, my girlfriend, my friend Sean Decker, my friend JT, and a couple other people. And we did from concept to completion, it was 11 weeks from like coming up with the idea, and then talking to Felissa Rose, and she said, "Hey, I'll call Joe Bob for this. Maybe he'd be good to host it." And I'm like, "Oh, that'd be great," because we were just going to do a regular drive-in with Felissa, but I had the idea in place. We stuck to the idea, and but it was just a lot of stress, like not knowing whether or not I was, we were going to make our money back. It wasn't even a lot of money, but it was the most stressful thing I've ever done. I won't do it without like proper funding and a company behind it, and then I'll do it for sure. Whatever ideas, but it was very stressful.
Mhm.
Very strange.
And for people, that was during the height of COVID, so you're doing the drive-ins.
Yeah, that added to it because with just me, I was doing almost all of the graphics, video clips, advertising, contracts, every vendor, all the ticketing, everything except for like my girlfriend was helping with advertising, publicity a little bit. Same with Sean Decker. So it was and then trying to produce the event itself and getting projections there and and products. Like I had a designer that designed the artwork, and then I had somebody design a logo, and then I brought in those things, and I had to make all the products. And holy moly, all the people that do events, they know how difficult it is. I mean, I've done events, but with five people and trying to do it we did 3 nights and we did one at the Rose Bowl. And so we're looking at this 19-acre grass field, and it's like me and one other guy for the first few hours of setting up. And, that morning, it was the most stressful thing I've ever done for sure.
Have you ever set up drive-ins though specifically before that?
No, I have not. I've set up screenings. Yeah. And I haven't done any haunt type things before, but we also, we had zombies, and Julie was doing the zombies for that. But no, it's, but it's still a screening. That's all it is, So I had a company bring in projectors and those inflatable projector screens for the Rose Bowl. And we had 2 of them set up, and, and then the radio signal to go out to all the cars, and vendors. Like the Rose Bowl brought in all these vendors, and people, it was just madness. Like there was a line, like hundreds of cars were outside waiting to get in, just like stressed out trying to, we're not ready yet, like don't let any cars. And then Rose Bowl saying, you gotta let the cars in. We can't have them running out into the neighborhood. It was very satisfying to finally have it playing and just be like, just breathe. And then at the end of it, I just laid down on the grass when everybody was gone. Breathed.
Did you yourself go to drive-ins, growing up, or I don't know, maybe the drive-ins are bigger. Out here, when I grew up, there's drive-ins, but there isn't anymore for anywhere.
Yeah. I did. I probably the first few movie experiences were at the drive-in. I think I saw like Moonraker when I was like maybe a couple of years old. That James Bond movie. And then even into high school, when you get your driver's license, you can go to the drive-in, bring some beers, and bring, try to pick up on the girls that you brought over. So throw parties. So the drive-ins are really fun. If you haven't had a drive-in experience, you have to do it for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great time. But
they're still around.
I thought maybe they would come back a little bit when they started to come back during that. I thought maybe they'd stick around, but maybe they have some places, but around here they haven't. Yeah,
they're still around, and especially in LA. There are 2 or 3 just in this area that are working within an hour's drive, and so if you're in LA,
I'm in Massachusetts.
Yeah, you're in Massachusetts. Yeah, I was just there in October. I did the whole like Salem.
Oh, cool
experience for Halloween. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy in October. I would it's a cool experience, but I would recommend also going to Salem off season because
without dirt. Well, we had to do it. It's something I wanted to do forever. I was going to do it a few years ago, and
I did it myself for the first time not that long ago.
Yeah, and it was not as fun for you.
It's a lot of people. I'm not necessarily like I was a giant mass of people walking around, but it was a cool experience. So yeah.
Yeah, it rained on us really, really bad, and there was no place to go. So we're kind of stuck. All these people are stuck under overhangs because there were lines to get into the restaurants. There's capacity, and so you're outside going, "Where do I pee?" We're running around in the rain trying to go to different restaurants. Going, "Oh, will you let us in so we can go to the bathroom?"
Yeah, Salem's a cool place because it's half of it is very, like they have statues of Bewitched, and it's kind of silly. But then like there's old stuff And both are going on at the same time. So it's a very weird place, but it's cool. I actually like both parts of it in its own way.
Yeah, I really enjoyed just the architecture. I had only spent like a day or two in Massachusetts before, but I don't know. I just with in LA or even all of California, there's not a lot of architecture that's like that, unless you go to like a small town. You just don't get those beautiful brick buildings, and the new architecture is pretty boring half the time.
Trista, I have a question.
I do. Talk about Black Vortex Cinema, because you do so much stuff, Christian. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you, Trista. Black Vortex, I started that a few years ago. I want to put out some books. I felt like doing some books, getting that off the bucket list. And so I ended up turning into 3 books, and they're called My Favorite Horror Movie, and Trista was involved in writing an essay in one of those. So I started it then, and then I've had a couple of different company names, but this time during Joe Bob's Haunted Drive-In, I turned it into an LLC, and then so now I rent gear, like I rent tables and chairs and that kind of stuff. I inherited some stuff, and then I've just been buying and buying. So now I have a storage unit full of tables, chairs, like you can rent them for movie sets, like pop-up tents, fire extinguishers, floor mats, that kind of stuff. And I rent it to the movies that I work on too. And I don't know what else. I don't know what else I've done with it yet. I mean, the books, the movies, Night of the Bastard, a couple of short films under that company, and Joe Bob's Haunted Drive-In, and hopefully some more events eventually.
Well, like Trista just said, though, you do a lot of different things. Are there any of those? I don't say your favorite, but are any of the things? What stands out the most for you? Like creatively, you get the most out of?
Let's see. I guess movies for sure. But
even for movies, like what side? Directing, writing them?
Yeah, I think both, because it's kind of the same thing in a way. If you're the writer and director, so I guess if you're going to call it something, then yes, directing and creating the story. Like making movies, especially as a producer, making movies is barely fun. It's kind of it's usually very difficult and stressful, and I usually don't even want to be on set when I'm producing. I just want to I have so much work to do in preparation for like the next day or the next week, or getting people paid and that kind of stuff. But the only time I want to be on set is when I'm directing, really. Because I've been on sets for 25 years now. It's like I'd rather be in the office working. The trailer.
Which came first, the directing or the producing for you?
Well, I think directing probably. Yeah, and the producing is kind of, you get into, you want to be a writer and you want to write novels, and you end up working at the newspaper as a reporter because that's the job, right? It's barely a job anymore. But that's kind of, I always wanted to write, direct, and produce, and it's part of being in control of things a little bit. And so I don't really direct as much because I fell into producing and I was pretty good at it. And so that's what has been bringing the work. That makes sense,
Yeah, no. This might sound like a silly question, but I think some people don't, quite understand. How would you define a producer?
There are a few different kinds. So I mean, we won't talk about TV producers, so that's a different ballgame. But for film, you have your executive producer, your regular producer, your co-producer, and your associate producer, and your line producer. The executive producer is usually the kind of the overseer of a company or financier or someone that has been providing movie and maybe provides guidance and figuring out how to market and sell the movie. The producer also does that, but they're usually the ones that find the money and then hire the people like me to actually make the movie. And sometimes they're like a creative producer where like they just sit with the director and help guide the movie creatively in order to reach the fan the way that the director and the producer would want it to reach them. And then there are producers that that work with the finances and like get the money and bring and you know, wheel and deal. They could get like private financing or get a loan from a bank and that kind of thing. And then co-producers are kind of a supplemental producer that does all of the stuff that the producers need. And associate producers are the same there. It's just kind of like a little bit of a glorified coordinator. And you know, even coordinating is kind of a producing job. And then mainly what I do is line producing. And so a producer will give me the script and I break it down and I schedule it, and they tell me how many days and how much they want to make the movie for, and tell me maybe some of the numbers, like how much they want to make, how much the actors should make, or the actor that they've already gotten, or somebody they want to get. And then I take the script, break down everything that costs money, and make a schedule of it and try to rearrange it so we have the minimal actor days. You don't have an actor playing 1 hour every day. You bunch them all up into one day. You put all your locations together. Just try anything that costs money that you want to rent, and try to put that all into 1 day or 2 days. You know, just minimize the costs just through the whole script. And then once I send that back, then they get it approved, and then they tell me to start hiring people. And you know, they've already set up the company usually, and then yeah, they go around hiring people.
So for someone out there who's writing a script or has a script, what kind of advice would you give? Like, what would you look for in a script from somebody? And what would you tell someone to avoid?
I mean, there are like a million things that even some very professional writers that write movies that I've made, they've written tons of scripts. They do a lot of things that are really annoying for me to try to do my job. So I mean, the first thing is write a good script, because you know, most scripts are not really all that great in the first place. Maybe not the ones that, you know, the ones that I make are usually pretty good, but the write good characters, write good, you know, and I mean, I usually have a problem with the formatting when I'm trying to break down the script and make it into something that I can communicate to all of the rest of the crew. So let's see. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people write a script and then at the header of each scene, they put like morning, or they put sunset, or they put later, like, or minutes later. And so you have scene 57 and scene 58, and you put minutes later on scene 58. And then once you do a schedule, scene 57 could be on day 1, scene 58 could be on day 8. So then once it's on day 8, what time of day is it? I want to know if it's the sun's out or the night. That's all I want to know.
Right.
So it's either day.
Minutes later after what? Right.
Yeah. I mean, sunset, unless you see the sunset, you know, then you can say, okay, the sun's going down right there. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And then make sure that, like, when you write a new scene, you put the character, every single character that's in that room or in that scene, write it into the first like couple of lines. So what they're doing, write stuff that they're doing, not somebody sitting on the table, you know, they're sitting at the table. Say someone is contemplating, or no, not contemplating, is you don't want to put thinking stuff. It's not a novel. You want to know exactly what they're doing. Thinking stuff is for the actors, and this for the director to tell the actor what to do, right? So I would say, where was I going with this? Just keep all that stuff out and keep it minimal. Just don't write too much crap. Don't put too many words. Nobody wants to read a script. Scripts are meant to be watched. So don't make it into a novel. You're not a novelist. You're a screenwriter. make it so people can read the damn thing really quickly, because scripts are not fun to read. You want to watch it, the movie, you know? So I guess that's the main thing. Like take out all your words, format it correctly, and make it easy for someone else to work on it, because there's a lot of people that are going to be working on it. It's not a novel that only you work on and maybe an editor, you know? So yeah, that's kind of the main things.
Yeah. And does, sometimes it's unfortunate to think this way, but when you're reading a script, does it ever come like, are people going to go see this? Is this something that people will pay to watch?
Yeah, I mean, usually that's not my job to worry about. It would be the people that funded it.
Right.
So my job is to make the movie, and then have it like ready to be delivered to all the companies worldwide. So it's in good shape, and you take out the dialogue if they want to put dub like French voices or whatever like that. You have to set up all that stuff. And it's super complex. Like it's not like a super fun process to anybody that's ever made a movie. But it's all worth it when you can sit there with an audience and they're laughing or scared or crying or whatever with your movie.
Yeah. How did you, I know this may be a silly question. How did you learn to become a producer? Did you go to film school, or is this something you pick up while you're doing other things?
Yeah, I went to film school, but there isn't a lot of like producing classes. They focus on directing and screenwriting, and so it's just by experience. So like in order to not be stressed out as a producer, it's all about preparation and experience, and so thinking ahead at like all of the problems that could possibly happen, understanding people's motivations. It's like a lot of psychology too, because you're having to hire people for usually less money that they're worth, or just dealing with like volatile people on set that are just different personalities that don't mesh, and so it's a lot of learning by experience. That's really what it is. Because if you've never done it before and you think you can do it, you'll have a lot of mistakes that happen along the way, or keep you pissed off, or it'll cost you money because you have to go into overtime because you didn't properly plan for stuff. And so that's usually when I get stressed out, is if I make a mistake or I forget something that's supposed to be there. And so just constantly writing stuff down and taking notes, and hope that you got it all prepared for the next day.
Trista, another question?
Yes, you touched on the My Favorite Horror Movie book trilogy.
Yes.
But can you talk a little more about what that is, who's involved, where people can get it?
Oh yeah. On my website, blackvortexcinema.com, you can I think we have some copies for sale there, or you can just go to Amazon. So just check out My Favorite Horror Movie, all three of them on Amazon. If you search that, they'll pop up there. All the people that were involved, we had tons I ended up having 150 different people writing essays, and I think I probably contacted 200 or 300 over that time span of people to see if people were going to be just interested in being involved. It was a labor of love for all of us to just spill our guts and tell our stories about why a movie did something for us, to us emotionally, or why a horror movie is your favorite horror movie. And a lot of it, a lot of people's essays went into some really dark places, and a lot of them were just really fun. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed the whole process. It's another one of those stressful things where you're just constantly having to send emails and emails. I was in the middle of making movies as well. I think I made 8 movies and put out the last 2 books in the same year. So after that year, I think it was 2019, I was a little, I needed a break. And then I took a break, and then COVID hit. I was like, okay, well, and now the break is forced. Okay, I'll stay home.
What did you do during? I know you did the drive-in. What were some of the other things you did during the COVID break?
Yeah, the last. Okay, yeah. So I mean, if you're talking 2020,
Mhm.
I bought a MIDI keyboard and I made a song. I put a bunch of beats together, but I finished one. I put that on my YouTube that I'm pretty proud of. I like it a lot. And then let's see, what else did I started a podcast. I forgot about that. Yeah, I started a podcast that I have not returned to because it's, because I think I've made 5 movies in the past like year or so. So that's been taking up most of my time. And then I, learned some stuff. I started learning, trying to train my brain for like real estate and investing, and none of that has worked out all that great lately. If you know how how the markets are. So and then I learned Mosaic. I wanted to learn how to do that, so I started a little bit with that. I don't know. I don't know. And then wrote Night of the
Seems like
Bastard.
an awful lot of stuff to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I listened to an audiobook or something.
Yeah, I definitely don't like to. I don't like to sit. Well, I do like to sit, but I don't like to
sit while you're
I don't like
learning
to
and do
sit.
it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What was that one thing you said? I'm sorry, though. Mosaic. I'm not sure what that is.
Oh yeah, mosaic. Tiling. So where you can just break off little pieces of tile, or you have different pieces of tile, you make a table.
Oh, okay. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So you make art out of different colors. And you just take a piece of wood, you just glue some shit on it, glue some like broken tiles or whatever you want, and then you put some grout in it and seal it up. Make sure you don't cut yourself when you put your drink on it.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have any of the Mosaic online for people to look at?
No. I only made a couple of them, and then I made one for Night of the Bastard for the character, because the character has the main character. His name is Reed, played by Leonard May, and he has a turtle, a pet turtle, and so that's his buddy, and he also does mosaic and does art because he's just alone and he needs to have that creative expression, and he made that. Like him with a sunset in the desert with his turtleneck by his side. And that was like my mosaic. I don't know if it'll make it in the movie, but I said I was going to do it, and so I learned the mosaic and I made the damn thing on set. I enjoyed it. It's kind of nice because you just take tweezers and you just break off a bunch of pieces and you just sit there and it's almost like putting together a puzzle, or very mellow.
If there's no specific way the puzzle fits in a certain way, I guess this is more up to you how it fits together.
Yeah, you can break it off. It's just like, just forget that that puzzle piece doesn't fit. Fuck it, I'm gonna crack it. I'm gonna make it fit.
Yeah. So what were not to spoil your book, but what were some of the movies that you watched that made you want to make horror films?
Well, I mean, definitely Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, and then the first one. And I grew up a lot with a lot of like Mel Brooks, like Blazing Saddles and Spaceballs. I watched those movies so many times. And then I guess I was watching a lot of action movies as a kid, and Peter Sellers, like Pink Panther. And I think it was like Ghostbusters and Gremlins, Monster Squad. All of those movies were like really, powerful for me to watch, like, or even watch them in the theaters, like Beetlejuice, another amazing experience, and seeing that for the first time in theaters, or Silence of the Lambs, saw that a few times in 1990. But like, and especially living in a small town, you have, my sister had already moved to LA, so I think that was part of like inspiring me to leave, and I always had like a love and connection for LA, and so almost kind of like a natural thing to, okay, that's what I want to do. I'm creative and I like to do it, and I like being weird, and so filmmakers we're all just weird kids who like to, we get to play with the really expensive toys and do weird stuff and go cool places, and rent like a really cool Cadillac for that scene that day, and just get to do whatever. Get to play. We have a big sandbox to play in.
What was it specifically about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3? Was it just happened to be the first one of those films that you saw?
Well, yeah, it was something I swore that I never wanted to watch one when I was a kid in the mid '80s. I had seen my mom watching one. It was the basement scene in basically the first scene of the first movie, and I was like, oh hell no, I don't even want. I'm never gonna watch that. And then a friend of mine had it, and he ended up bringing. I was like, all right, bring it over. I'm gonna watch it. You just tell me when to close my eyes, and then I hide my eyes. Then after a while, I'm like, wait a second, he's fucking hilarious. And I think that was it. It was the humor that really got me. And then after that, I never had another fear with movies. That was it. It was getting over my fear.
Yeah. Do you prefer horror comedy?
I don't know if I have any preferences. It doesn't matter what kind of horror it is. I don't really give shit. Like I love it all.
That's a good thing about horror, though. There is all different, and really it depends for me what mood I'm in. Because I like comedy horror. I like real gory stuff, crazy stuff. Whatever. Yeah. Something thoughtful.
Yeah, horror comedies are. I think that's where if I was gonna have a preference, I would always want a little comedy in my horror, just because I think it's. I don't know. I mean, they're funny.
Well, I think a lot of the ones that people don't even call horror comedy still have a lot of comedy in them.
Yeah, for sure. And do you call it comedy or comedy horror or horror comedy?
Interesting. I would say horror comedy, but
I always say horror comedies. But then, how is it defined? Is it okay? So if it's a comedic horror, so that's a comedy horror, or is it a comedy that's a horror movie? So it's a horror comedy. I don't know the distinction. But it always sounds weird when people say a comedy horror. I like it the other way around.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but I know even Trista's. She's brought up some movies that she thought was very funny that I don't think anyone else really considers.
Which like what?
Like Ari Aster.
Oh yeah.
I'm very dark.
Like, intentionally funny or unintentionally funny?
I think it's intentionally funny, and his new movie is a horror comedy. So.
Really?
Yeah, I think I think I'm the only one that gets his humor. I just think he has a very dark sense of humor.
Yeah, I think so too, especially the Hereditary, the first death in that movie. I think it's the first death. On the Road. Let's call it On the Road.
The best death, yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. But I see a movie that I think is hilarious. I think it is a comedy. Even Malcolm McDowell even said it is a comedy. It's A Clockwork Orange. The brutal stuff in it is not something to laugh at, but the rest of the movie is actually a fucking comedy, and that's how they made it. But nobody really, it just destroyed what's his name, like Kubrick.
Mm-hmm.
He had to like leave the country for a while, because people wanted to kill him after making that movie.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I haven't seen it in a while. I have to watch it again and think, is this a comedy?
No, yeah, it's hilarious.
It was even one that Trista's shaking her head on. So
yeah, when I watch that movie,
it's too hard for me to watch.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's different perspectives, and there are times when you don't laugh when there's like really brutal shit, and it's not, it's basically about a rapist, a rapist murderer, and but it's all the other stuff about like society and how they think they can fix him and his attitude towards them. And that's where all the humor comes from, is that you can't like fucking fix this guy. He's fucked up. And so I don't know. I mean, the first time I ever watched that, my friend Judy and we went, that was like the first time we had ever hung out. It was like 1997. They re-released it. And she and I were just cracking up the whole time, and everybody, like this other gal that we brought with us, like she was like looking at us like we were crazy. But yeah, I think it's comedy.
I've had that experience at movies where I'm laughing and no one else is, but not a Clockwork Orange.
What's that?
I've had the experience before being in movies where I'm the only one laughing. But,
oh yeah, exactly.
But it wasn't Clockwork Orange. But I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it again. Here, we'll find out. So, what are you working on currently? You already mentioned several things.
Yeah, no, I'm well. let's see. I am currently obsessed with just soundproofing and getting this damn house ready. Like I want to get the soundproofing done so I can come in and like unbox the rest of the house. But in order to put a lot of stuff away, get my office set up, I need to finish the damn soundproofing so I can paint and all that. But I just finished a movie called Fear the Night, and I just started. I have two movies that I had one budget that I just did for somebody, a producer I know, and so I think he's taking it to one of the companies to get it funded. Hopefully that'll happen the next few months, and then we have another one that's funded that's gonna be probably shooting in August, I think, and that's set in the Kalahari Desert, in Africa. But we're going to be shooting it here in Los Angeles, California, somewhere, faking it.
That's the magic of movies.
Yes, it is. But yeah, we'll see on that one, like how if we can make it look like Africa.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think you can pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, I think myself, I'm not really. I'm just 100%. Like once I finished that last movie, I just dove right into soundproofing, and it's literally been a 4-week process by myself, putting up a whole new framing and drywall, and it's not the most, and rewiring all the electric and learning how to do it all and making some mistakes and having to redo it. But I just hung my last piece of drywall yesterday, so it's time to hang the second door that will be really thick for keeping sound out. I'm going to be making a lot of noise.
All right. So Night of the Bastard premiering at Sitges. That's exciting.
Yes, yeah, that's October. I haven't yet to see it yet, so I'm excited.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Maybe I'll wait until Sitges.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Like, I could see either way. Like, you want to see it before, but what better way to see it than at the premiere at Sitges?
Yeah, exactly. Might as well, because I didn't edit it, so I wasn't in on like watching the edits and all that. Right. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how it turned out.
Yeah, and although I can also see the other side of that, like because can you pay attention to the movie when you're there actually watching your own movie? So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it might. Well, I doubt that this one will be just disappointing, but right.
Other movies that I maybe didn't write, but I produced or something, you can watch it and go, wow, man, that's a stinker, But yeah, I mean, I've made like three or four or five movies that I haven't even watched yet, so I don't even know.
Well, you gotta get around and watch them after you're done the soundproofing drywall.
Yeah, I don't know. I've made too many movies now. It's like, oh well, because maybe I didn't deliver it and I didn't work in the post. That's usually why I don't watch it. And I've made a few movies that I never even read the script, and I was in charge of everything. So
don't tell everyone that.
Yeah, no, that's maybe I wasn't the number one person in charge, but maybe I there was one where I was like the number one person in charge. I just didn't have time to read the script because I was like jumping from movie to movie to movie, and I had maybe like a weekend in between movies, and so I was let's just say I didn't read the script and I've not seen the movie, but maybe I will someday.
All right, fair enough. Trista, another question?
I do, yeah. So you're always talking about how many movies you're doing, and I know for a fact how much you work. So this business is so fickle, and a lot of people would love to work as much as you're working. Do you have any secrets or insight or advice you can give to people that want to work as much as you do?
Yeah, well, I guess you have to be obsessed with working, I guess. It helps that I don't have kids. It helps to have like a stable home life where you're not spending so much money on rent and that kind of stuff. So I guess that whole foundation has helped because especially not having kids, I don't have the responsibility to have to take care of others. I don't have a family or anything like that. So I mean, so if you don't have all of those things, then I'm able to just dive in 100%. So when I am making a movie, as soon as we're in prep, yeah, I can barely, for the, at least we usually have like a month prep to just hammer, or maybe a little more than that, but just to hammer out everything you need for the movie by the time you start filming. And then we usually film about a month or 3 weeks to a month, or, for these low budget movies. So you just need to not do anything that whole time. If you're the boss or if you're, I don't know, and I don't like to sleep. So I sleep about 6 hours a night and that's it. So I just try to maximize. I haven't watched a movie in, I don't know, in a few months. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, making movies, you don't really have time to watch them that much. I watch stuff when my girlfriend's watching it.
Does it also change how you watch a movie? Do you watch it like, this as a movie, or watch it and kind of break it down in your head, like how this was made? Or
Yeah, it does. But like a good story, you'll get lost no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're into it, I always get lost in it. And so that's why I still love watching movies and making them. Is for that, you're still chasing that goal of like just getting lost,
mm-hmm.
not being here. Hearing a great story, it's a campfire story or anything like that. It's all the same. Or hearing a great song, it's all the same thing. With movies, you have to keep your eyes open.
You mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is one you grew up with, but what would be a modern horror movie that you would consider one of your favorites?
Oh, what have been my favorites lately? I really did love Hereditary. Hereditary is that one was fun. The Witch, I like that one. That one's fucking cool. Crap, I haven't even thought of it. Yeah, you're asking me a question I usually ask other people, but I haven't even thought about it for me lately. Drag Me to Hell is probably up there. I mean, it's
I'm a big fan. Yeah,
13 years old now.
I always bring it up when people say you can't make PG-13 horror, but I think that's a movie. It's PG-13.
Yeah,
it's great.
That's my favorite Raimi movie, and I think it's a motherfucking masterpiece, and I think it's hilarious, and I think it's frightening and freaky and funny and all of the above. It's just I love it. Yeah, that's probably my favorite horror movie of the modern, like since the not since the 80s. Let's say in the last 20 years. That's my favorite.
Cool. Andrew brings up X.
What's that?
Andrew says X is the best horror film that came out in years.
Oh, really? I have to see that.
And Dave Bailey also likes that, and he loves The Witch as well.
Yeah, The Witch. I have a damn list, but I don't know where it is. I try to keep like a top 100 favorite horror movie list. And
oh, cool. Yeah. Since we do a year-end show, I do actually keep a list every time I like a movie for that year. And
yes, I do that too.
Otherwise, I can't remember what came out that year, and I'll think some movie came out that year, and it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. If there's do you have that app Letterboxd?
Yes, Michael Epstein is always on me about keeping it up to date, but I always forget to update it, and then I'm too far behind.
Yeah, I know. I never keep up with it, but every once in a while I like going in there and just reading what.
Yeah, to read it, but I always forget to update my own, so
exactly. I never log. I try and then I forget.
Yeah, then you just give up because it's like, well, I can't remember all the movies I've watched in the last 3 months since I updated this. So.
Yep.
Forget it.
Yeah, my girl's watching a lot of TV. I mean, I guess I did watch the Game Time, the Lakers show.
I haven't seen that yet, but I would be interested.
It's pretty fun. Yeah, I liked it. It's definitely a different looking show. Nothing else. It's hard to find something that doesn't look like everything else. And that show definitely does not look like anything else. They're using like video cameras and old movie cameras and new movie cameras and video camera, like all these things blended together, and they just cut however they want. In between every scene is a different type of camera. It is wild. It's almost like that movie Domino. It's one of my favorite movies. Tony Scott, which also used many different types of cameras. Domino is a masterpiece.
I don't think I've seen
it. Nightly.
Well, how can people follow you to see what you're up to?
Find me on the Instagram. I'm not on. I think I signed up for the TikTok, but I don't use the TikTok.
I'm a TikToker now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well,
all I do is post clips of the show here.
Yes, well, that's at least you're doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the TikTokers that kind of filters over into the Instagram. I go on the Instagram because I like that. I like seeing photos. I don't add people on Facebook that I don't know, but I do Instagram and Twitter. Find me there, Acronomicon. I barely do the Twitter. So you just find me on Instagram.
Just Instagram. Yeah. Forget the rest. Yeah. You're on those, but if you're not on there.
And my website, blackvortexcinema.com, just you can shoot me an email there. You can find me on Instagram.
Yeah. Get some drywalling advice.
Yeah, with drywalling. Yeah, the advice that I give everyone about drywalling is don't do it. Wish it on your worst enemy. That's what you can do. Because I find like doing 2 layers of drywall, finding a stud. I have to write extensive notes and take pictures and draw on each damn thing. Every custom piece, everything is custom pieces. So there's like 50 pieces of drywall in this 15 by 10 room. And it's double layered, so you can't find the stud half the time. So a couple of my walls are Swiss cheese. So I didn't make notes like, oh, the stud's there. Draw it right on the thing, and then my stud finder doesn't work through 2 layers drywall, only 1 layer of drywall. So I bored everyone enough because I could keep going.
That's my other podcast, the drywalling podcast.
Yeah, drywalling podcast. Yeah. Definitely don't have me on there. I will just be talking shit.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
That is actually the most talk we've ever had about drywalling on the show.
Mm-hmm.
It comes as a big surprise.
Horror and drywall. Let's start.
That's going to be the TikTok clip for this interview.
Oh, okay, good.
Christian Ackerman talks drywall.
Yeah.
This has been very fun. I'm glad this came about. Thanks, Trista, for setting up, and thank Christian for coming on.
Yeah, cheers to you both.
Thank you.
And cheers to everyone watching.
An unsweetened seltzer.
Oh, excellent.
Hardcore that way.
Yeah, pretty hardcore.
Well, good night, everybody. It's been very fun. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye. I'm gonna wave awkward.